I'm sorry if I sound very unenthusiastic. I am rather sick, but every fiber in my being is screaming about this chapter. Gorgeous, beautiful, honestly speechless. What can you say about how well Fujimoto handles these moments? The intimacy, the reflection, the reveals even. There's so much here just to contemplate, just to chew on, just to theory craft and think about, and it really recontextualizes a lot of things. A lot of moments within the story, a lot of previous ideas, our perspective on the horsemen themselves. You see, we've always had this mother motif. We've always had this understanding towards horsemen being bigger than life beings. They aren't just killers. They aren't just the representation of apocalypse like the name would imply. They have depth. They have texture. They have different wants and needs that are so different to what they represent. Makima is a really, really good representation of something so sinister, so oppressive, so controlling, but also someone that seeked being genuine. She wanted a genuine relationship, a genuine family, a genuine hug. She wanted things to be real, quite literally the opposite of what she is. I've talked about the horsemen, their representation, and how they always have an opposite. Fami being another example of someone that represents starvation, the literal inability to access food. But it isn't just related to food. You can starve out ideas and concepts and get bigger and grander with what famine as an idea represents. It doesn't just have to be physical, but every time you see her, she's eating, she's starving, she's gorging herself. So that leads us to war. She now has the full range, scope, emotion, idea, identity that we've always been seeking. We knew something was different. We knew something was up. She wasn't just a merciless killer. She isn't just the representation of war. She's so much more. And you know how Fujimoto gave it to us? In those tiny little snippets of her outbursts, her little personalities, where she's almost kind of chucking a tantrum. That is her personality. The sheer frustration and identity to not only get her comrades back, but also beat Chainsawman. We didn't really know how far that would go. We didn't know what that meant to her to such a length. Does she only care about it in the moment, or would that be something that builds over time? Finally, we see it reach a point of critical, that out of all of the situations, all of the scenarios, even Asa having a one-to-one with her, a deep and meaningful, reflecting on the idea itself being novel, silly, even something that she can just stop. She can't stop though, because deep down that's the only thing she kind of wants. She wants to beat Chainsaw Man. She wants to prove that she is a more fearsome devil. Do you see the irony in that? The identity, the personality. War itself is built up of multiple different ideas, multiple different things. There isn't just one representation of war. Yet the feelings and the words that Yoru is expressing is personal. It's entirely to do with her and how she perceives herself, how she perceives the identity of war, her comrades, and next to be revealed, her children. See, we've perhaps always known deep down that the horsemen all offer a different part of motherhood. It depends on your perspective. But Makima's literal motif, what she was represented as, how she was shown and depicted, was that through and through. But over time, you see more of those quote-unquote qualities flaring up within other horsemen. So when War talks about her children, when she talks about tank and gun, that reveal runs heavy. It's not an easy or simple thing. When you think about the history of Pochita, Chainsaw Man, the war that took place before the story, and why Pochita left to begin with, it changes a lot of things. Pochita wasn't just here killing her comrades and erasing them from existence, he was also devouring some of her children. That beautifully redirects into her personal grudge and why she can't just drop it, why she can't just leave it alone. I really love the conversation between Asa and War. It's so simple, it's just this back and forth, getting to understand each other. It's really humanizing for a horseman of the apocalypse, and the more you humanize them, the more you bring them down to a level of our understanding, they almost seem like just normal people. I think that's a very delicate and beautiful balance that Fujimoto has. He's done it with Makima. He's now doing it with War. Could we eventually see it with Famine in a more detailed way? But I guess the scarier option would be perhaps death. If all of the horsemen so far feel so human, could death be that as well? I guess the turning point for Yoru here is live or die. Does she turn her children into weapons? Can she control them? Does she want to break their freedom? Again, it's ironic, but the conflict of personal gain, being a mother, also being very upset that she doesn't want to do it, but still having no other option. Either she dies here or she goes back on what she said she didn't want to do. It feels incredibly desperate, and perhaps that is the representation it's going for. The armless outreach, trying to grab her children, recalling them back from their cages to now be caged into her arms, but becoming one with her. It's giving them freedom from perhaps where they were to a now controlled environment back with mother, and it works brilliantly. The power, the fierceness, everything that we thought war would represent eventually is now here. It's knocking on that door. She manages to instantly get mouth thrown back up through the umbilical intestine imagery, rebirthing back up mouth. This now turns into an interesting fight. War now has weapons, very powerful ones too. I'm curious and equally concerned. I don't think Chainsaw Man has faced an opponent that could have this much potential, that could be this fearsome. And don't get me wrong, he's fought a lot of powerful people. He's handled a lot of dire situations. He just keeps coming back. But there is pain here, at least with Gun. There is memories and nightmares that aren't good. Perhaps there's snippets of Makima and power. For the first time, you might see Chainsaw Man kind of worried, or at least on the back foot, or at least angry. If all of this provides beautiful texture for Yoru as a character, who she is, what she is, why she is, the way that she is, what about Pochita? What about death? If the horsemen are mothers, if Gun and Tank are the children of war, could Pochita be the child of death? Could the name that he erased to represent the hybrids underneath the horsemen be something related to that? A family bond? The children of horsemen? With more information we get, more and more we build towards this idea that Pochita and Chainsaw Man and the idea of erasing things from existence isn't just an anomaly, isn't just a random devil roaming around with an ability that scares quite literally everything. Something feared, but also respected, worshipped like a cult. If Pochita is the child of death, you know what the funniest thing is with that? He wants to dream. He wants to continue to dream. His opposite from death and erasing things is keeping things alive. It's making dreams come true. Seeing the beauty within those dreams. It's almost fantastical, unheard of. If the opposite of death potentially could be life, for me it's always made sense that the opposite of erasing would be memories, dreams, making dreams come true. And it's because of those dreams that you're provided with everlasting memories that traverse over time, that are never forgotten, and that the only time that they would ever disappear is when you die. But that isn't necessarily true. Your dream can live on. Your legacy can live on through your children, through your friends, through anything that comes after you. At that point, the only thing that would technically take away your dream is if you were forgotten, if you were erased from existence. Right now, what you are perhaps witnessing is the mother of war and her children versing the child of death. Someone so feared, someone that has ran the gauntlet for perhaps generations. War is upset. She wants to be more scary, more feared than what Pochita is, what Chainsaw Man is. And you have to love her for trying.